Okay, so one of the personal things, so Missy and I went to lunch a few months ago, and and I'm gonna let you tell your own story, obviously, but you were talking about how you had been formally diagnosed with ADHD, and then you said it, by the way, in the nicest possible way, but I was like, "Oh, I'm pretty sure I have it too. I'm just not diagnosed. I haven't made the appointment or whatever." And you were like, "Would you like me to point out a couple things that I've learned about my journey?" And I was like, "No, I know I have it. I definitely have it." But you pointed out a couple things. I'm like, "Oh, damn, she's right." So, which I love it. So I love it because so many people are starting, and this is going to be something that I'm going to talk about in a future podcast also with our other friend Cabri, who also has ADHD. But I want you to talk about your own diagnosis and then how it affects your organizing, because what I see a lot more of is that people are coming to our group. They're like, "Oh, someone is coming to me and they have ADHD. How do I organize with them?" Like it's
Yeah.
a one step. Like if we just have a few tips, we'll be able to organize all, and it's not quite that simple.
Yeah,
So
could we just make a flow chart? If you have ADHD, organize this way. If not, organize that
yeah,
way.
if you just use blue boxes, it'll be fine. It's very complex, but tell us a little bit about your journey on this front.
Okay. Well, my journey starts with my resistance to having ADHD and my, yeah, just disbelief. So I have this dear client who knows she has ADHD, and we worked really well together. We're still working together. It's been years now. And every once in a while, I would say or do something, and she would go, "Missy, you think like me?" And she's, "I think you have ADHD." And she was always real cute and kind of playful about it. And I was just like, "I don't think so. I really don't." But I had more and more people contacting me that knew that they had ADHD. They were saying it up front. And so I started doing what any good organizer would do. And I started researching it because I was like, well, I better know if there is something I should know that's different than how I've been helping people get organized for folks with ADHD. So I checked out this book from the library, my favorite place. And I think it's just called Organizing with ADHD by Susan
Susan
Pinsky.
Pinsky. Oh,
Yeah, the one with
it's
all of
so
the
good.
Post-it notes all
All the
over the
Post-it notes on
cover.
the front. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just perfect, right? I read through the entire book before I met with this client, and she was a doctor, by the way, with ADHD. I read through the whole book and I was like, well, that's already how I organize. So I guess that's just convenient. Literally drew no threads that my brain
Really not just seeing all the signs.
no, that my brain worked the same way as a
Right.
folks with ADHD. I was just like, "Oh, okay, cool. How convenient. I already do that." Closed the book, went and worked with the client, had great success. She was working with an ADHD coach at the time, and she was sharing some of her tips and strategies. So we implemented those into just really the systems that we were creating in her home so that she could follow it all seamlessly. Had a great experience, right? And then more and more folks kept coming to me with ADHD, and I was like, "Oh, this is so fun. I already know what we're doing," and just dove in. Then that client kept saying, "Missy, you think like me?" And I was like, "I don't." And Carly Adams, who used to be a mentor in IO, she at the time was like, "Hey, Missy," because I told her about the Susan Pinsky book and she had read it for one of her clients. She's like, "Will you come on my podcast and talk about organizing for folks with ADHD?" I said, "Absolutely." And she goes, "First, though, I need you to read a second book on ADHD, and we're going to discuss that one too." So Carly mentions this book and she's like, "Hey, you need to read this book by Lisa Woodruff. It's called How ADHD Affects Home Organization." So I'm on vacation with my husband and I'm reading this book, and it's all about, at the beginning of it, is talking about the different executive functions of the brain and how it interacts with ADHD. I'm sitting on a beach in Mexico reading this book, and
Oh, man.
I'm like, I'm literally highlighting it. I'm like making notes. And
Okay,
I was
just really quickly, I'm just trying to imagine a beach in Mexico. When I go to Mexico on vacation, I'm just bringing total, like, just fiction, mysteries. You're on a beach, and I bet people are like, "What a party that woman is. She's reading a book about ADHD."
I mean, now you have insight into me. I've long been a fan of nonfiction. That was my first love. I just
Oh, okay.
recently got into fiction in the last few years, and I'm low key obsessed. I know you read a ton too. I read a crap ton of books because it's just fun and 3 at a time. That's an ADHD thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm reading this book and I start reading it out loud to my husband, and I was like, "Do you think this sounds like me?" And he was like, "Oh my gosh." He literally had never considered it for me. I had never considered it for me. And I was like, "Oh." And God, people in my life at the time knew people that I would meet randomly at a networking event. And we'd be having this great conversation. And then they'd be like, "Do you have ADHD?" And I was like, "Not that I know of." And they were like, "Oh, okay." And then I actually became friends with that girl. She's now a member of the team. She's wonderful. But I asked her, I'm like, what made you say that? And she goes, oh, we just went on so many rabbit trails, but you were tracking all of them and it didn't seem phased by it. And I said, oh, yeah, no, that doesn't faze me. And I'll have clients apologize to me. Sorry, I've kind of been all over the place. And I'm like, have you? "Mm,
I haven't
I'm
noticed.
tracking. Yeah, we're good. Keep going. Anyway, I read the book and I was like, shoot. So now what? So I was like, fine, I'm gonna go to get tested. I just am gonna go get tested and figure it out. And maybe this would explain why some days when I have an admin day, I have a really hard time deciding what to focus on first because it all seems important and I want to get all of it done. But then there's almost like this paralysis to it. Man, do I have all sorts of tools now to really connect with my clients and just a level of understanding. So I go, it's a 3-part test, which I mean, this is probably just an ADHD nerd thing, but I loved all the tests. I thought they were so fascinating, and I wanted to know, like, how well I did on them.
Yeah, right. Did I get an A?
Yeah. Did I pass that one? I could brag about one particular one. It was the math one, and she goes, "Missy, almost no one gets the last question right." And I was like, "Thank you."
You wanna be like,
Like,
"Am I better than all the other ADHD clients that you deal with?" That's what I would be saying.
but there well, here's the other thing. She totally lied to me, about one thing. So here's a little known fact about me. Am not the person that you want installing even your IKEA Kallax system, which has 2 screws. Like, you do not want me building something for you
Okay.
at all. But I have wonderful gals on my team and guys who are really great at that, and it's to make up for me. There was this puzzle, I think it was only 4 pieces, and you just had to turn it different ways to make it do different things, and I could not, for the life of me, figure out. And the woman giving the test, God bless her, was so kind and patient. She's like, "Don't worry, a lot of people struggle with that." Well, guess what? I've since become friends with a psychologist who gives ADHD tests to people, and she goes, "That's not true." She goes, "The puzzle part's easy." She's like, "They were lying to you." I was like, "I knew it. I knew it was easy,
Right.
and I was screwing it up." So
So, I'm gonna wrap myself out on something. I'm terrible, terrible at stuff like that. Like, I have like, when you're saying this right now, I'm very old and I still have a visceral memory of on the SAT, there was like, fit this thing into the like, what space does this piece fit into? And my brain doesn't work that way. And I was
yeah.
with my niece a few weeks ago and she got a new game that was like you had these blocks and you had to put them like match them with their like pieces. She's in third grade and she was kicking, legit kicking my ass. And when I say kicking my ass, I mean she would do the thing in about 5 seconds and I was still on the first piece. And she's like, Aunt Melissa, you're not very good at this. No, I'm not.
Yeah, I could play
No,
with
I'm
you
not.
and she would crush me too. I mean, it's just not my gifting. And now I have family members who have ADHD and they are a whiz at putting things together. So this is also the beautiful and confounding part of ADHD. And this is why you cannot do a one size fits all answer when people in Inspired Organizer are asking, "Hey, I have a new client with ADHD. What do I do?"
Yes.
Well, what do they need? Is really the better question.
Because I have seen in my practice as an undiagnosed ADHD person, I have seen there's one woman I think about a lot where her manifestation was everything had to be perfect. She
Mhm.
had to follow the KonMari method perfectly. She didn't like my detours from it, which I find necessary for actual success. One of the other things that I saw with her is she would get so over organized. Like she would say, "Well, I have tubs for everything." So it was like one kid's toothbrush and then the other kid's toothbrush and then toothpicks then she had 12 containers on her counter, which then
Right.
was causing so much more clutter.
Visual
And
overwhelm. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then you have people that are the standard, that or not standard, the more classic or more stereotypical, oh, I have this thing and then I have this thing of it, kind of going all over the place. And then everything in between. There's nothing that says this is how you organize with an ADHD person. You
Yes.
have to listen and you have to ask a lot of questions.
Ton of questions. Right. Because there are some folks who, if they don't see it, it doesn't exist.
Yep.
Right. So it has to be really clear. And there are some folks that if they see it, it's overwhelming and it has to be put away.
Yes.
Same diagnosis, totally different approach. Yeah, it is just asking a lot of questions. But I am obsessed with my ADHD clients. I think it's so fun. I think folks with ADHD are just more fun in general. They're creative, they're talkative, they're goofy. I was just having a blast with one client. we found out that we both enjoyed musicals, like in the consult or something, I think. And so when I came for the first day, she had the Hamilton soundtrack blasting, and we just sang our little hearts out as we organized her kitchen together and had the absolute best time.
Oh,
My
I
other favorite thing, and I know you do this too because we've done it together, is if someone says something like and it's a song lyric, my brain just has to sing it, right? And I was working with a single guy in Minneapolis, and he said something, and I just sang the rest of it, and then he sang the next line, and I was like, "Yes."
I
And
love it, because the
of course,
worst the corollary of that is when someone doesn't know what you're talking about, and then they look
yeah.
at you really funny, and then you have to be like, "Well, it's a song, never
I
mind."
mean, I definitely had that happen too because obviously this is not my first rodeo that I just decided to sing randomly with a client, but I do love singing and having a good time and just being goofy and lightening the mood because so many people, especially those with ADHD, they have struggled with organization. It's a tenet of ADHD, right? They are not always super excited. They're excited about the end result, but they don't really wanna be involved in the nitty-gritty part of the process. So anything that can just bring some levity to it, make it fun. I like to ask my clients what they like to do when they're doing something unpleasant. If they have to clean, are they people that put music on? Do they put a
Yeah.
movie on in the background? Do they listen to a podcast? Whatever that is, I invite that into the session. So I've absolutely organized a kitchen with Hitch on the countertop,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
she loves movies and every once in a while we would stop to watch a favorite part or something or whatever, but it's just, whatever you can do to help your folks with ADHD that you're serving feel comfortable, go for it. And if you're listening to all this and it sounds terrifying, maybe working with ADHD isn't for you.
I'm always gonna come back to that point, and one of the things that I was gonna say a little later is one of the reasons that I love you for 1,000 reasons, but one of the reasons I love you is I have you as a referral partner. So reaching out to other people in your organizing community, they're theoretically competitors, but let's just not treat it that way. If you have something that you're uncomfortable with, please find an organizer that is comfortable with it because it's gonna be better for you, it's going to be better for the client. So if I had someone that was really struggling, you're gonna be my first call on that, right? Like, I know that you can handle it, and I know that's something that you really love, and if you're sitting here thinking, "Everything they're talking about today is a total nightmare, and it sounds awful, and how do they even have a business?" Find someone that is a referral partner that is comfortable with that.
Yeah, it's the same way that I'm still looking for someone who really enjoys working with hoarders. So if you're in the Twin
Yeah.
Cities and you like working with hoarders, please send me a message. Yeah.
Well, this is a good example because I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast, but I have the client that told me she loved me last week
Mhm.
because she does. I worked with her dad one time and I was too much for him. I was a little too energetic or too like he needed someone different. And she was so nice. She was like, listen, I love you so much, but my dad needs someone that's just real slow and real methodical. And this will sound bad because I was like, I know the perfect person for you. It's Missy. And not you are not slow and methodical, but I was just like, I just had this feeling. I'm like, I feel like Missy's gonna be a better energetic and personality match
Sure.
than I was. And it did not hurt my feelings that this client was like, you're not my dad's cup of tea. Because all I care about is her dad getting someone that makes sense. And Missy and I have a lot of things we're aligned on, but there are things that she's way better at than I am. And so I am going to send that referral to her because I think it's important for people to get who they really need. It's not about me
Mhm.
getting the business.
Absolutely. It's about people getting what they need out of the experience.
Have you changed anything about since your diagnosis? Have you
Mhm.
changed anything about how you do your business? Like either
Mm,
any of your processes or just things that you've discovered about yourself?
such a good question. Man, okay. I have not been super upfront about having ADHD because I feel that there's still a stigma around it. Some folks are just, they see it more as a detriment. I was talking to, I'll just say a family member because I don't want to out them, but I was talking to a family member about it and I was like, can you just envision with me? This is what I think of when I think of the future that ADHD is going to be seen for the superpower that it is. And people are going to be clamoring for a legitimate diagnosis to
People
be
want it.
put on their resume because people with ADHD are such hard workers. They're so focused. They're so driven. I mean, there are such positives that come from it. And I think that not a lot of people see it as a positive yet. Some of the people that do have it totally can recognize their ability to super focus and get a lot done and way more done in a shorter amount of time than, say, a neurotypical person, right? Because you can just block out the world and get in the zone, right? And that's awesome when that happens. I tend to do that sometimes on my organizing projects. Sometimes with certain team members, I'll be like, if you see me just going too far in, just call me out.
Yes. Pull me out.
If you need something, just tap me on the shoulder because I'm going in. But man, it's just there's something beautiful about it, and I have been more comfortable when somebody else tells me about their own diagnosis. I feel more comfortable talking about mine than to be like, I get it. I get where you're coming from. I can see how this is frustrating for you. And I can also see a path forward. Because that's the other beautiful thing about an ADHD brain. All they want to do, and this is a client who taught me this, she said, all an ADHD brain wants to do is solve problems all day. And she goes, so you walk into somebody's house and you go, doop, 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 doop. I see how I can fix this. I can make this better for you. I can make this a space that you're going to want to be in and want to spend time in. And she goes, I have an ADHD brain, but I can't do that in my own house. And I'm like, yeah, you're too close to it. I mean, I've also had an organizer in here helping me organize my office because I was too close to it. I mean,
Yep.
they asked the same kind of questions that I ask at a consult, but I was like surprised by my own answers. I was like, oh, yeah, there is a better spot for that. That makes way more sense.
I've pointed this out before. Therapists have their own therapists, right?
Yeah.
Like we all, when it's our own stuff, you just don't see it as clearly in the same way that we'll go into a client's house and be like, why can't they fix this? This was so easy. They're going to pay me a lot of money to fix this very easy thing. They can't see the path. We see
Mhm.
the path, but when it's your own stuff, it is so much less clear. That is common of everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
So, when do you think because I feel like one of the things that it's definitely happened in the last few years, people are getting a lot more comfortable with any sort of mental health diagnosis, I think. Clients will be very upfront. I have depression, I have anxiety, and they will talk sometimes about things that family members are really going through that are tough.
Mhm.
I definitely feel like there's more of a path toward this will become extremely common and you're going to hear it all the time. And if you have it yourself when you're comfortable, I do think that if you can promote that as a niche, I'm not just saying you, I just mean any
No,
organizer
I
listening to this. If you're comfortable with that, throw it out to the world because I do think that there are people that are like, oh, you will see, hear, and understand me
mhm,
better than
mhm,
this person who, like Sarah was saying, who's been perfect forever and ever. It might not be that comfort zone.
right.
ADHD is going to be something that we're gonna have to talk about a lot more because it is definitely like one of the things Capri and I talk about is either you have a legitimate diagnosis or you have a TikTok diagnosis. It's just one
Yeah,
of those things.
I call it ADHD curious.
Yeah, 80. That's amazing.
Curious, yeah.
I love it.